Hello, welcome students. I am Mrs. Madhumita Chakraborty from Holy Hearts Educational Academy, Raipur, Chhattisgarh. Today my video is for class 9 and today I am going to do the summary of history, the lesson Forest, Society and Colonialism. In this chapter, doing the summary, I would be putting emphasis on 4 things, that is, what is deforestation, why deforestation was done in India during the colonial period, and then I will be doing the rise of commercial forestry, then I will be doing about the Bastar Revolt, and then at last I am going to do the transformation of the forest in Java. So these are the 4 things on which I am going to lay down the emphasis. So starting with the very first thing, that is what is deforestation and why deforestation. Before that I am going to show you the content. Just have a look at the content very fast. Fine. Now coming to the first topic, that is what is deforestation and why deforestation. So children, I think you all know what is deforestation. It is nothing but simply the felling down of the trees or the cutting down of the trees is known as your deforestation. Now the reasons behind it, why in India during the colonial period there was so much of deforestation, and the reasons are 4. The first one, it is the increased land for cultivation. Second, the supply of timber for Royal Navy. Then third one, it was because of the expansion of railway networks in India. And the fourth and the last one is the enclosed area for plantation. So coming to the first point, increased land in cultivation. Increased land in cultivation because always remember, when the population increases, the demand for food grains also increases. And because of the population increase in Europe also, there was more and more demand of food grains and the raw materials for the industries also. That is why the colonial government encouraged the production of cotton, wheat, then your jute and your sugar in India, and then it was exported to meet the demands in Europe. Then the second one was the supply of timber for Royal Navy. Now Royal Navy means the building of the ships. So for building of ships, the oak got disappeared from England, and that is why the expert team was sent to India. As you all know, the Indian forests are rich in natural resources, and so when they found the great quality of timber in India, the huge quantity of timber was exported to England for the Royal Navy. And then comes the expansion of the railway network. In this expansion of the railway network, the woods were required to run the locomotives. Then secondly, the sleepers were also required to make the tracks together. So for that, the making up of the sleepers also, the wood was required. And we could see that near the railway tracks, the forest started disappearing very soon. So this is also another reason for your deforestation. Then comes the last, that is enclosed area for plantation. Now, similarly as cultivation, plain land is required. So here also for plantation, the natural forests were cleared and set up. There were your tea, coffee, rubber plantation. And when this produced were ready, they were exported to England to meet the requirement over there. So this is what I have discussed with you all and explained to you that what is deforestation and why deforestation happened in India during the colonial period. So this is a very important question, beta, of this chapter. Just take a quick look of it. Fine. Now, next one is rise of commercial forestry. Now, why it was required for the rise of commercial forestry? Because the Britishers became too much worried about the use of the forest products by the local people, and then the Britishers also became worried due to the felling down of the trees by the contractors, and that is why some efforts were taken by the colonial government. The very important effort which was taken by the colonial government was they invited the German expert Dietrich Brandes in India, who was the first your Inspector General of Forest. And then the efforts which were taken by him are what? The first one, what he did was I am reading out what I have written it for you all so that it will be easy when I am going to show you this chart. So the first one is set up Indian Forest Services in 1864. then formulated the Indian Forest Act in 1865, then set up Imperial Forest Research Institute in 1906 at Dehradun, and then introduced system of scientific forestry, which I am going to later tell you. And then amendment of the Forest Act was done twice, and that was in 1878 and 1927. And then the forest was divided into three categories, and the three categories were your reserve forest, your village forest, and your protected forest. So I think it is clear to you all that why there was a requirement to commercialize the forest. Clear? Now comes, as these forest laws were enacted, and so the people are going to have effect on them. So what was the effect of these forest laws on the people, those who were living there? Maybe some was very good and some was little bit hard for them to accept. So now the effects of forest laws on lives of people I have jotted down in points, which I am going to read so that it will be easy when you are going to look at this chart. So villagers could not take anything from forest now for their own use. Only can use woods of the protected and the village forest. Forest department promoted growth of teak and sal, and rest species were cut down. Fishing, hunting, grazing of cattle, collection of fruits, roots, wood for fuel, cutting trees became illegal. That means whatever daily activities the forest dwellers or the people who were living near the forest used to do, all those became illegal because of this Forest Act. Now comes the forest guards also took bribes from the people, and if the people were caught red-handed stealing the wood from the forest, then they were severely punished. Sorry. Now we can see here that many suffered and many benefited, as I told you. So many tribal peoples of this forest, they started collecting the wild latex, that is from the wild rubber they get, and then they started supplying it to the traders. Similarly, many of the forest dwellers, or you can say many of the tribal people, they were also forced to do work in the plantation, in mining, and in their factories, and because of which they had to leave their regular jobs which they were doing earlier in the forest, and many of them started doing trading in the forest products under the supervision of the British officers. You can see it. I hope it is clear now. Whatever I have told you, it is all in this. Clear? Fine. Now, the effect of forest rules on cultivation. We have seen it on the people also. It has got effect. So now on cultivation. How? In class 8 you all have done about shifting cultivation. So now you all know how the shifting cultivation works out. So now the Europeans, they put ban on the shifting cultivation. Here I am first going to show you. Fine? Seen the points? Clear? So now here what you have seen is I have written about the reasons of ban by the Britishers or the Europeans on shifting cultivation. So the first one is the European foresters regarded the practice of shifting cultivation to be very harmful for the forest. Why? Because that is the second point. That when the forests were burned, always there was a fear and a danger of spreading the flames and burning the valuable timber. Then comes the third, the shifting cultivation made it very difficult for the British government to collect the revenue or to calculate the taxes. So I think now it is very clear to you all. So a very quick revision of it. We have done what is deforestation, why deforestation is the 4 reasons. Then I have done about the commercial forestry, in that why commercial forestry was required, and then what was the effect of the Forest Act on the people life and cultivation. Okay, stay safe. Thank you.